And why did you remain involved in what was going to become Entelechy, Andrea?
I think it was because it was an outlet for me for all the things I couldn't do in work, that I could take an interest in people reaching their potential, not being seen as problems, and producing wonderful drama and spectacle and performance in a way that wasn't the ethos of the service that they were in. I would have liked to have carried on in different directions. I was quite involved, but not very, in employment opportunities for people with learning disabilities. But it was because I had an opportunity myself to develop ideas like how people could complain about things where they lived, how they were treated and their personal care, lots of things that weren't directly part of my job or even at all. I could develop the ideas with David and Entelechy because they were always open to thinking about how to make lives better for people rather than how to help them fit in, which was a very strange concept. I was doing some research at the time into an ordinary life, and there were scales that I could use that have been tried out on the normal population, so I had norms that I could compare things with. And people with learning disabilities in the community, two things I will mention stand out. The local population, about 10% was still doing some educational activity, whereas people with learning disabilities, about 85% were doing some educational activity because they didn't have jobs and weren't seen as going anywhere. The other thing that was interesting, I compared a group of unemployed people in Lewisham and their responses with people with learning disabilities who didn't have jobs. And the likelihood of violence in the home was much more for the unemployed ordinary population than the people with learning disabilities. And some of the perceptions of people with learning disabilities needed to be challenged. And Entelechy was a very lovely way of doing that, where you could see people with learning disabilities, with people without learning disabilities, performing on a level playing field with people of different ages, from young children to older people, and it was as integrated as you could possibly be, and so that made it so worthwhile for me to be involved in it when the health service itself was not as nuanced as that, to put it nicely.